was in service. And without any external formalities or anything, although Guru Maharaj did say many times that if Govinda Maharaj gives you an instruction and I give you a different instruction, then follow Govinda Maharaj. So, and one could immediately perceive how all problems in the Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat, they ended before they got up the stairs to Guru Maharaj's veranda. Govinda Maharaj solved all the problems and he didn't let them go upstairs. And at the same time, Guru Maharaj was very aware of everything. Oh, one time I just had forgotten my passport in Kolkata. And Guru Maharaj immediately sent me back to Kolkata to retrieve it. Go. And I remember once we went collecting for Janmashtami, Radhastami and everything, and took the collections. We've been collecting for a while and took the collections to Govinda Maharaj, and he said, Guru Maharaj is sitting up there on the veranda, so take your collections to him. So I took the collections to Guru Maharaj, and it wasn't a question of just handing him the collections. First he counted all the collections, then he divided by the number of days that we went out. And he saw, like at that time, 300 rupees a day. This is very good. That time, maybe 300 rupees was more than it is now. But like that. Guru Maharaj was very aware, but Govinda Maharaj, he didn't allow any problems to go upstairs to Guru Maharaj's veranda. He took all those problems himself. And he taught us what it means to be actually a servitor of Sri Guru. This is something, when many times when the Vaishnava, when we approach Sri Guru, we don't know what to do. We don't know what service we can offer. But our spiritual master is so merciful that he takes whatever service we offer and he takes from that service anything that is wrong, and then he offers that to the Lord. So he will take out any errors that are there due to my false ego. I'm presenting something, but it is not pure. Just like in the Prapana Jivanamrita, Srila Guru Maharaj was writing. And first he says, he quotes a verse of Rupa Goswami that says that the fire ignited by a mlecha, that will still purify gold. So we see that, fire is divine. And one time, remember, when I was in ISKCON, the president of the temple in Hyderabad, his name was Mahamsa Swami, and he was a Parsi from Bombay. And he took me, I think, to a Zoroastrian temple. They worship fire. They worship fire like as the mouth of Brahman, as like an impersonal conception, but the fire is accepting the sacrifice. Just like we did a fire sacrifice today, and we're offering so many things into the fire, and the Mahaprashanam and the sweets and all these things. So the fire is accepting in that way. But Guru Maharaj says that a fire, even if it's ignited by a mlecha, that fire can still purify gold. It's a verse quote from Srila Rupa Goswami. And then he says, to effect, Guru Maharaj has his own verse, parallel verse, and he says, outwardly, I'm appearing to be a sadhu, but inwardly, I'm desiring the fame of a poet. Therefore, I am suffering from the almost incurable disease of duplicity, like that. Because outwardly I'm he says, this Guru Maharaj in his humility paralleling that of Rupa Goswami, he says, outwardly I'm appearing as a sadhu, I'm dressing as a Vaishnava sannyasi. We remember when Guru Maharaj, he was in the veranda. Sometimes when he was going downstairs, he'd put on tilak and then he'd comment, now I have put on my disguise. When he put on the tilak, now I am put on my disguise. So he's saying, outwardly I'm appearing like a sadhu, but inwardly I'm desiring the fame of a poet, of a kavi. Now we are never thinking that Guru Maharaj is desiring anything for himself. But in his humility, he's saying like that. Then he says, "O Vaishnavas, although this work, Prapana Jivanamrita, may have some, what do you call, what do you say in English? Manchas. What is it? You know,
matches. To light fire matches.
No, some marks on it, some what? Blemishes, some blemishes. I think half in Spanish, half in English. Manchas, some manchas. This work may have some dirtiness on it by being touched by my hands, but you, O Vaishnavas, you can purify even this work that I'm presenting, Prapana Jivanamrita. You are Vaishnavas. You take this and purify it by your holy presence, and will not, then he says, this work will satisfy the Vaishnavas who are suffering from separation from the Lord. Because actually that is our real philosophy, that we are not thinking that, as the Sahajas do, that we can enjoy the direct presence of the Lord, but rather we're serving in separation. That was the mood of Mahaprabhu, to serve in separation. And that is really our philosophy, service in separation. Mahaprabhu showed that. And especially in the absence of the Vaishnavas, that will be our mood of service and separation. And I had kind of, in some ways, I don't have deep realization, but I was thinking in this way, that when I would go, even though when Gurudev had left this world, I was remembering how he would be in Kolkata, and sometimes he'd send all of us. I remember he'd send myself and Ashram Maharaj, and probably sent you too, right, Vishaka? Well, he would send us from Kolkata, and he'd say, now there's this celebration coming up in Navadip, so go there and do the celebration, and after the celebration is over, you can come back to me. And he would say that. So he would send us to Navadip to do some service there. Maybe it would be a festival of the appearance of Guru Maharaj or something. So he'd send us to Navadip for the festivals. And then when the festivals were over, we would go back to Gurudev. He'd usually be in Calcutta, because Gurudev, sometimes he wouldn't go to Navadip because his health wouldn't allow it. He said sometimes if he had trouble breathing or something, he wanted to be, in a place where he could get some attention. So he would stay in Calcutta, and he would send us to Navadip. And then we would go back to Calcutta after the programs were over and be with Govinda Maharaj again. So afterwards, after Gurudev had departed from this world, I was still thinking like that. When I would go to Navadip, I was thinking that Gurudev was sending me there for service. And when I would go back to Calcutta, which invariably we do, after sometimes being in Navadip, I'd go back to Calcutta and I would think, now I'm going back to where Gurudev is. That was my consciousness sometimes, that Gurudev was sending me to Kolkata, sending me to Navadip and then calling me back. So I continued with this thinking a little bit sometimes when I would go to Navadip, but that would be my sensation. And then coming back to Calcutta. So invariably, that kind of, that movement, I thought of just going back and forth as service. And Gurudev had sent us on that service. And Gurudev, I can't believe how much he accepted service from all of us. I was one time with him, and Bhakti Kiran Giri Maharaj he was from the ashram of Bhakti Sharanga Goswami Maharaj. He's a disciple of Bhakti Sharanga Goswami. And he would always go with us on the parikramas, that old Giri Maharaj. And one time we're sitting there and we're taking prasadam. And first, Gurudev takes some prasadam off our plates and eats it. And then he made Giri Maharaj also eat that prasadam was taken from our plates. It was, Gurudev, it was his humor. But he also said he said in this way that he was curing persons from their sentiment of Brahmanism. Like, even to Guru Maharaj, I don't remember that lady's name, that she had cooked for Guru Maharaj, and then Govinda Maharaj brought that prasadam to Guru Maharaj that she had cooked. Well, it wasn't prasadam, it was boga, but it was being offered to Guru Maharaj. And Guru Maharaj said, well, I have my own diet. Because Guru Maharaj, first of all, he didn't have any teeth. And he used to take things like smashed up muri, muri powder, right? With some water or something else mixed in, and he'd take that. He didn't really so much chew and eat things. He had his own diet, Guru Maharaj. And that devotee, does anyone know her name? I know.
Sulangana.
Huh?
Yeah, Sulangana.
Sulangana.
Kalangana.
Mother Kalangana.
Kalangana?
Yeah.
Kalangana.
Okay. Well, she had made pizza for Guru Maharaj, and Guru Maharaj said, this is not my food. And then Govinda Maharaj said, well, she's made for you. Just stick your finger in each preparation and taste something of each preparation. And that will be good. And she was very happy that Guru Maharaj did that. And then Govinda Maharaj said in this way, and he said it like in a joking way, but he said in this way, Guru Maharaj lost his Brahmanism. His Brahmanism. Like that was an accomplishment of Govinda Maharaj. And when he went to Russia also, he made Bhakti Prapana Tirtha Maharaj, he made him on Ekadasi eat some chocolate. So normally we don't eat these things. We don't eat things like chocolate on Ekadasi, because if you look at the wrapper, it always says it has some, soy lecithin or something like that. But Govinda Maharaj made Tirtha Maharaj eat some chocolate on Ekadasi. It was like, Govinda Maharaj, it was his mood, some mood of naughtiness, I guess, that you might say, I think they have a better expression here in England. They say, oh, that was very cheeky, right? Cheeky, meaning, that was very mischievous, right? Or something like that, audacious. So, like that with Govinda Maharaj, he was many times, his humor was also teaching us. Everything that he showed us, everything he did, many times there was humor behind it. Somebody mentioned to me that I had said that when I was with Srila Govinda Maharaj, it was like an entrance into the Chaitanya Charitamrita. We're reading the Chaitanya Charitamrita, but with Srila Govinda Maharaj, his activities daily are taking us into the pages of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. His humor is often reflective of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Also, I remember Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada too. He quoted something, a saying, a Bengali joke that kind of, you can say, capsules, or puts, it shows what is the Western thinking. And it says, if you have to stand on your hands, if you have to walk on your hands, but it's always necessary to change and do something new. And that's the mentality we have in the West. An old building is not suitable, it has to be torn down to make a new building. Even though the old building may be perfectly functional and nice, but it has to be torn down to make way for something new. So we're always having to do something new, and something, even in service, we're thinking that something new has to be done. I remember one time I was in Vrindavan, I mentioned this, and I bought this tilak stamp, a tilak stamp. There you make the tilak and put the stamp in the tilak and then stamp it on you, and then it would leave a perfect tilak stamp and everything like that. So I bought this tilak stamp. You don't use it on your head. Your head's too curved, but you could put it everywhere else, tilak stamp. So I was very fascinated by the newness of my tilak stamp. And then somebody said, why are you using that stamp? And I said, oh, well, it's very functional. It works everything. And then that person said to me, we were in this time, he said, do you ever see Prabhupada use one of those stamps? I said, no. And he said, I rest my case. It is true, always trying to do something new, a tilak stamp, or, I remember one time, but that's a disease we have. Always can't be satisfied doing something right. We have to do something new to make it wrong. Yeah, basically that's the consideration. And, so that's kind of, so that's when Govinda Maharaj, his activities, I would see his humor was the humor that we see in, Mahaprabhu's mood. Govinda Maharaj, he told me, he said, I am always hopeful. I am never hopeless. So I could see that Govinda Maharaj sometimes would be sarcastic, but he never was cynical. He would be sarcastic sometimes, but never cynical. His mood was always optimistic, hopeful. And he commented once his position. He said, I am like Lord Jagannath. Lord Jagannath has no arms or no legs, but he has eyes and he sees everything. So Govinda Maharaj indicated that I often don't correct the Western devotees. I see everything they're doing and I see what they're doing wrong, but I don't necessarily correct it. Or sometimes he would correct it months later or sometime later, and you knew what he was referring to, but he didn't necessarily correct you at the same moment that you would do something. There's a reason for that. I remember Srila Prabhupada said, he said, I saw the way the brahmacharis kept their ashram. They kept their ashram so unclean. And many times I asked them to clean the ashram, but he said after a while they did not do so, and I stopped asking because I didn't want to make some offense. I didn't want to irritate them. So then he said, but then I was forced. If somebody visited, I'd have to make some excuse, like I'd say, you see, they're so busy engaged in service that they don't even have time to clean their own room. But he said that in a non-joking way, you know, he would say that. But you could see it was actually a comment that the lack of ability of our part to accept correction sometimes. And Govinda Maharaj, he said, I am like Lord Jagannath. Lord Jagannath has no arms or legs, but he has eyes and he sees everything. So Govinda Maharaj was saying, I see what's going on, and I don't necessarily correct them. But sometimes he would say, nobody would ever be able to do that in the presence of Guru Maharaj. You couldn't think of doing some things that went on, the way people would sing in the temple and their actions. You wouldn't be able to do that with Guru Maharaj. And I remember also, I commented that there was a devotee, Sanatan. You remember Sanatan, right?
I never met him. I came after he already passed.
Okay. Sanatan. And he told me that when he was going to take initiation from Srila Guru Maharaj, Sanatan said, Govinda Maharaj himself said to Sanatan, he said, do you eat meat or fish? And Sanatan said, no, I gave that up some years ago. And smoking? He said, no, I gave that up last year. And then Govinda Maharaj said, what about taking tea? And Sanatan said, yes, I take tea. And then Govinda Maharaj said, then you'll have to give that up. He said that to Sanatan. Why? I mean, Govinda Maharaj sometimes, you know, he would take tea and the devotees with him would take tea. But you couldn't take tea if you were in Guru Maharaj's ashram. Even once the devotees talked about herbal tea, you know, which has no caffeine and anything like that. But Guru Maharaj didn't know what herbal tea is, and he said something like, well, if you're taking that, you have to leave the ashram. Because he was thinking it was like caffeinated tea. And I think there's one commentary on Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. No, who was it? It was during the independence movement of India. I don't know if it was Gandhi or Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose, but they said, well, they were the freedom fighters, and can we take tea? And he said, you may not have tea, but you can have the water of the rivers. Something to that effect. So, you know, we're not so much concerned, but as I said, it was Govinda Maharaj's mercy that I saw it, that he was encouraging the persons, and he wasn't so fixed in, you know, severely criticizing Vaishnavas. He tended to see what positive thing they offered, and he would be happy with that. And at the same time, he was aware of some things that we were doing wrong, and it's not like he was tolerating them necessarily. Well, he was tolerating them, but it was not that he accepted them. But like when he showed the deities, which eventually came to Sokel, he showed them, and I was there, and I said, he brought the deities onto Guru Maharaj's samadhi, and they were wrapped in, I believe, newspaper because they'd come from the Murtiwala. Shishi Guru Garanga Gandharvika Giridhari. And he showed the deities, that they took the covering off the deity's face. They were very beautiful. And I just said something like, are those deities going to Sokel? And Govinda Maharaj accepted, yes, they're going to Sokel. And then later I asked him, I said, Govinda Maharaj, when did you decide that the deities were going to Sokel? And he said, I didn't, you did. But then he commented, he said, then he installed the deities and everything, and as usual, the altar was still wet with paint or something when the deity installation was going on, everything. It's like, that's typical for our service, last minute, everything's ready at the last minute. And then he installed the deities, and then later he said, if I knew how, because we had a mortgage on the property, and in India they don't have mortgages on properties. And he said, if I knew how much you were in debt, I would never have installed the deity. But now we have paid off the mortgage, so the deities can be, be happy. But anyway, it's very educational to see how we lived so long, many, many years with Govinda Maharaj. You were in Navadip, right?
The first half I was in Calcutta mostly, then Gurudev, he sent me to kind of swap with Madhusudan Maharaj, because he wanted to keep Madhusudan Maharaj in his last day, so then he sent me to cover. So it's like half and half.
But a long time you got trained in Govinda Maharaj's service.
Not personal servants. I was more under Madhusudan Maharaj.
But still you were, Gurudev knew very much who you were, and that you were there, and he was accepting that service, and that you were sent to Navadip. That's for doing service there. So I remember one time the servitors, some of the other servitors like Jamuna and Lalita, I had been in India from, 1971 to like 75. There were no temples, there was nothing. Sometimes we would live in chitai huts, which were habitated by sometimes mosquitoes and sometimes rats. We had, we went through all kinds of diseases and everything. And there wasn't permanent dwelling for the devotees, and there was in Calcutta, but not in Mayapur or Navadip, not in Vrindavan, not even in Bombay, like nowhere. The temples were built later. So sometimes we were literally living without any, you could say without any fixed residence, just living in some straw shack. And in India, live in a straw shack where, you're subject to the elements for sure. And then some of the lady servitors of Gurudev, they told me, Well, you don't really know what it is because you've never really done service in India. And I was thinking, oh, I've never walked to the Great Eastern Hotel to buy croissants. I never did that. But I never did service in India. I mean...
Let's strike that from the record.
What?
Let's strike that from the record.
That's right.
We're streaming live.
Well, but they were buying the croissants for Govinda Maharaj. They weren't buying them for themselves. But we didn't really know that luxury, you know. But we'd go out and come back, and sometimes, you know, in those days, to buy a pair of chappals, you know, rubber, like thong shoes that would go between your toe. They used to cost 2 rupees. And when you lost your shoes, they wouldn't give you another 2 rupees. It was like you had to practically prostrate yourself begging to get another, because the treasurer considered it was your fault that your shoes were stolen. I mean, it was a different thing. There were no watches, there were no tape recorders, there were no whatever. I don't know what else. I mean, one time there was one devotee, and I was literally amazed that he had his own kurta. So, anyway, everyone who did service in India, they, you know, was very special to do service in India. When I came to Guru Maharaj, I saw Guru Maharaj was sitting on the veranda. So I said to Govinda Maharaj, I told Govinda Maharaj, I would like to stay here in Navadip. And Govinda Maharaj answered me, what did you say? You want to go collecting in Calcutta? And I said, no, I didn't say that. I said, I would like to stay here in Navadip. And then, you know, then Govinda Maharaj said, I think it would be better if you went to collect in Calcutta. So then we were sent to do that. But who I see was really, now unfortunately he's very ill, but Parvat Maharaj, he was a very good servitor. He'd be 6 months of the year in Calcutta, always going out and collecting. And we heard that Bhakti Sharanga Goswami Maharaj, he used to go collecting, especially on Thursday during Brihaspati Barbela. Because the saying is that on Brihaspati, a lot of devotees think Brihaspati Barbela is very inauspicious, but no, it's not very inauspicious. Generally, it is said that during some kind of negotiations that are done in Brihaspati Barbela, one person gains and one person loses. So businessmen, they're afraid of doing anything in Brihaspati Barbela because they think it could end in catastrophe. They might lose everything. But Bhakti Sharanga Goswami Maharaj, he considered that when you go begging, there's never any loss. What loss can there be? So he considered this was the ideal time to go out begging. And I considered that I still consider this is a very good form of guru seva, to go collecting, to go out begging. It's very good seva. You know, what are sannyasis? They're called Tridandi bhikshus. You know, that means a beggar, right? Supposed to be a beggar. You know, people have this bad image. Oh, the Hare Krishnas are always beggars. They don't like to think of themselves as beggars. But I think it's very nice. It's very nice to You know, Govinda Maharaj, he said sometimes he had trouble begging, so he organized these tours, and he took people to Badrinath and other places, and they would go, he would take them. And he said he was very successful. He said because he, unlike other persons who conducted tours, he fed people with pure ghee. He cooked pure ghee. But he said he did, but he also had, this was also a trick in some ways, because he cooked with pure ghee to the point that people, they couldn't eat that rich food anymore. So then that's what one of his appeals was to pilgrims, that he cooked everything very nicely in ghee. And he said after a while they couldn't tolerate so much ghee, so then the things would become normal again. But he said one woman defeated him because she had some special pills that enabled her to digest the ghee. This was Gurudev's humor, the way he described it. But Bhakti Sharanga Goswami, he would go out begging, and one time some man told him, just a minute, and he said, I have something for you, and he brought it, and then he gave it to Bhakti Sharanga Goswami. He said, here it is, ashes. And then Bhakti Sharanga Goswami, he said, I will accept your ashes, not because I need ashes, but I will be able to use them for something. I will use the ashes to clean brass. I will use the ashes for something like to clean brass. It's not that I have use necessarily for the ashes, but I will accept them because it teaches your hand how to give. You know. So that's also part of begging. You're giving sukriti to other people by enabling them to offer something to the service of the Vaishnavas, to the service of Gurudev, and to the service of their lordships. You know, that's something very valuable, to be able to offer something. It's not just begging business, is it? It's actually the offering of service. And Guru Maharaj, he said, a temple should be a place for distributing sukriti. So when we go out, whether it's on Harinam, and devotees sometimes very enthusiastic for doing Harinam, like Dayanidhi, you know. Jagi Maharaj, you can go for hours and hours, but even more maybe, and he is very good. But Dayanidhi, he's an Iron Man. Dayanidhi likes to go on, he could do Sankirtan unendingly, I think. Yes. He's very happy to do Sankirtan. And people hear this, and they join in, and they're very happy. They're happy to join in. And who will not get benefit by joining in on Harinam? Even sometimes people jokingly join in. And they dance, and they imitate the devotees dancing. They wave their hands in the air, but, you know. But often they do that, and then they get into it, and then so many other people join in on the Harinam, sometimes when we're doing Harinam. So, all this, Guru Maharaj's words are, the temple is a place for distributing sukriti. And now we have, that's why I think it's good, we have two temples here in London. One's in East London, and that's surrounded by so many persons, many Indians, and other persons from all different countries. They're all in East London. Sometimes they, you know, sometimes they don't they cause a little bit annoyance with the devotees. I remember they'd cause trouble if they're, when West Ham Stadium was there, they would sometimes sit on the steps of the temple, eating and drinking beer, right? But everyone is benefited by the presence of the temple. I'd see sometimes Indians would walk by and look in the window and offer their dandavats like that as they pass by. So that's East London. And to go, how long does it take to go from East London to west to this temple? Sometimes as much as almost 2.5, 3 hours if you're in traffic. One time we had to drop somebody off near some metro station or something like that. And that meant we had to go through the center of the city or something. It took forever and a day. It took for a very long time. So that's why it's good to have a temple here in West London, temple in East London. Maybe then we'll have temples in North London. Yeah. Here we have, the culture of West London. And East London, you have the culture of East London, jellied eel and pie mash. A local favorite, no doubt, right? Eels direct from the Thames, huh?
Freshly polluted.
Huh?
Freshly polluted eels.
Special what?
Freshly polluted eels.
Freshly polluted eels, because they're from the Thames. They're freshly polluted. But not without merit, and they're jellied. I don't know how you jelly an eel, but that struck me as very odd when I saw that on the signs of shops. I thought, my God, who eats that kind of thing? But apparently they don't eat that in West London. It's more of an East London favorite, right?
Yeah.
And pie mash is what? Potatoes and...
Meat
Huh?
pie.
Meat pie.
And a meat pie.
A meat pie.
Usually pork sausages in it.
We used to have, without the meat, but we'd have something like that. In SoCal, it was called Ramai pie. Named after Ramai. So the pie mash part is okay, I guess, without vegetarian pie mash. And then we have, so anyway, I'm talking a while, but does anyone have any questions? I'm very happy to be here in London. It's, to me, like a really special opportunity. I even was, even watching some of the matches going on. Who? The football matches. What is it? Liverpool against?
Ajax.
Huh?
No.
Sports in Ajax.
No, Liverpool and Tottenham.
Huh?
Liverpool and
Sports in
Tottenham.
Ajax, you would say.
Liverpool and what is it? Tottenham?
Tottenham.
Tottenham.
Tottenham. Okay.
It's a local derby played in it.
And that's the Champions League final today.
Where's it being played?
Tonight at 8.
Tonight. I mean, normally I've never, just like in India, I learned how to, all the play of cricket, and I'd watch the cricket matches with Govinda Maharaj. And I knew all about it. I knew the players, and I knew the matches, and I'd even get into it. Although when I went back to the West, I never watched a cricket match. Especially when I had the experience there, that some cricket matches would be played for 5 days and end in a draw. You know, so. But with Gurudev, oh, that was pleasurable. It was nice. You'd be with him. And of course, I mentioned how one time we're watching some baseball championship when Gurudev came in. And we had the television on. We were all waiting for the 7th game, the last inning. We're watching it. And Gurudev came in and he grabbed the remote and put on Srimati. Some ladies' show. I couldn't believe that Gurudev would do that to us. We're all glued to the television. It's the last out. It's going to decide who wins and who loses and everything. And Gurudev walks in, and I'm hoping, I hope it ends. And he grabbed the remote and he changed the channel. And I didn't know how the thing ended for about 6 or 8 hours. Anyway. But here's Devashish. He's very knowledgeable. He's very knowledgeable. He can say something Shastric.
Maybe it's time for Arti now.
Does anyone have any questions? Well, it would change. Now, this is my mood of service, and everyone has their own way. Ashram Maharaj, he would be a perfect doctor or nurse. He'd take care of he'd note every medicine and everything Gurudev was taking. And when he would go out on collecting with us, he would note every single detail, who the person's children were and where they lived and everything. He'd note all that. He had like a book. And me, I would be in California, and Gurudev, I was planning on going for Gurudev's appearance, but he told me in August to go there. Hashapriya went there and he said, Gurudev says come immediately. And I said, so I called Gurudev and said, I'm planning on coming in 3 or 4 months. So you still want me to come now? And he said, yes. I think it would be better if you come now. That is, I have no one here to disturb me. So we went there. But I'm considering whatever I would do with Gurudev, I consider that as service, even disturbance.
When we were in Russia with Gurudev, I hope you don't mind me saying this, Maharaj. We were in Moscow, and you and Srudashrava Prabhu were having a fight in front of Gurudev, and I can't remember what it was about, but it was an argument, and it was getting very heated. And Gurudev was just like pretending it wasn't happening. And then you and Srudashrava Prabhu, you went outside, like, we're going to take this outside. and Gurudev looked at me and he said, Prabhu, I cannot tell you how much I love Janardan
Oh.
I've got to tell you this one then. This is Rath Yatra, I think it's 2006. No, 2009 actually it was. And we've got the top of a Dharamsala, and I'm escorting some ladies from Venezuela, and they've packed. They were supposed to fast in the morning at least, at least half day fast for Rath Yatra and water and whatever. I can't fast the whole day, and then that hitting myself. But anyway, and they pack all their hampers and everything, full supply food. We're sitting down, and we're watching Rath Theatre, and the camera comes out in a long arm, you know, and the ladies are chomping away, you know. I'm thinking, you know, you need so much, and it was a half-day fast, and then they tell me that they can't do it, and I thought, okay. And eventually, you know, I have a banana, you know, because it's half day, and I can't do it the whole day. Next thing you know, in my pocket, the phone rings. Brr, brr, oh, what's this? And it's Siddhanti Maharaj. Kanamala Prabhu, what's going on? Gurudev wants to know why are you all eating in the middle of Rath Yatra? He's watching television and he's seeing. It was so funny. And I said, well, I did tell them, you know, but they just can't do it. And this, that, and say, well, tell them again. And they tell them, they'll go, they put it back in the hamper, bring it back.
He watched you on national television.
Caught red-handed, you know.
On national TV.
But he said, and then Chinna said, Guru Maharaj said, it's okay, Karnal Prabhu, you just, you know, don't make a feast of it. I said, yes, Maharaj, yes, Maharaj. Put it down. So funny, so funny. Yeah.
So do any of you have any questions? We're just here on a Sunday.
Well, Martin, it's almost 3. I think the dogs are hungry.
Oh, they're hungry, eh? Well, we're hungry too. Now we'll sing some. You've already done arti and everything.
No.
What?
Wait.
Not done arti. Where's the pujari?
There.
Who?
Prabhu.
Nanta Govinda.
Where is
Do
he?
now, huh? Yeah, now.
No.
Ananta Govinda's the pujari.
Yes.
Yeah.
He just got here last night.
Sometimes he's pujari
He likes to do the job.
when he's
It's
here.
always changing.
Oh, change
There's
it.
a whole group of pujas.
Okay.
I shall Bhakti Pavan Janardan.
Sripad Bhakti Hridai Mahayogi Maharaj ki jai, Sri Devashish Prabhu ki jai, Sri Vishaka Devi ki jai, all the assembled devotees ki jai, Gaur Premanande Hari. Give this small drum to Balaram. Here, Balaram, take this one.
Take the little one, Balaram.
Put it over the side where he could. Either that or give it to here, Raghunath. Shri Krishna Chaitanya.
Jaya Saparikara Sisi Guru Goranga Radha Kidari Yupi Jayam Visupara Paramahansa Parivakacharya Varya Stotara Satariti Mavakiri Malacharya Maharakiya Jayam Visupara Paramahansa Parivakacharya Varya Stotara Satariti Mavaki Sundar Govinda Devata Maharakiya Jayam Visupara Paramahansa Parivakacharya Varya Stotara Satariti Mavaki Vakakira Devata Maharakiya Jayam Visupara Paramahansa Parivakacharya Varya Stotara Satariti Mavaki Sundar Govinda Jayam Visupara Sila Varaki Maharakiya, Misnu Pasila Sacena Kirana Takurkiya, Misnu Pasila Jagannath Maharakiya, Silvopana Guru Bhagakiya, Amacharya Silaya Takurkiya, Santa Kotirana Vintakiya, Ivala Deva Diabutanakiya, Sina Vivana Tirasi Prabhukiya, Sina Tamasya Manana Prabhukiya, Sila Vindavanda Takurkiya, Sila Vinada Kavirakiya, Pasati Nindanda Prabhukiya, Pasatu Nama Prabhukiya, Jaya Sri Sripad Krishna Gopa Gopinata Sematunda Radakunda Girigodakiya, Sudha Bhakti Vinavina Sayasina Hinadevakiya, Bhakta Pravara Prada Maharakiya, Surati Maharanikiya, Ganga Jamunajikiya, Raja Srimad Bhagavatam Chaitanya Charitamritakiya, Iswa Isnava Raja Savakiya, Akarama Raja Sitranamakiya, Sadia Sakamakiya, Sitran Saraswat Makiya, Chaitanya Saraswat Mahu Eslam Chaturkiya, Iswa Vyapikaja Sakamakiya, Ramayapurkiya, Viranarajikiya, Sinamu Tandankiya, Paladeva Subhadra Ganatakiya, Govinda Dundakiya, Iswa Shiva Gangadayukiya, Samaveta Samandalakiya, Samaveta Kavindakiya, Palamatakiya, Segura Pramanande.
Ese no tiene Shri Brahmsi Gosha Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar